To those of you joining us today, thank you for watching the Woburn Spotlight. I'm your host, Tyler Gates, here to bring you some positivity by talking to those in town making big strides for the greater good. Today I'm fortunate to have with me Joseph Warreno and Jack Farron, representing the Woburn Business Association. Thanks for joining me, guys.
Tyler, thanks for having us. We appreciate it. I think we ought to let the folks at Woburn know that you're the new Vice President of the WBA and the incoming President, and we're glad to be here, and let's talk about the WBA.
I'm excited. It's an organization that's meant a lot to me since I was boots on the ground a little over 3 years ago here in Woburn, and I know it means a lot to you guys too. So why don't you tell us a little bit about you for starters, so people that are watching know who we're talking to.
Sure.
Well, I came from the Burlington Business Roundtable, which became the Burlington Area Chamber. I spent a better part of 25 years over there, nominated Businessman of the Year at one time, became president of the Burlington Community Scholarship Foundation. And then I got a phone call from Mike Meany. He said there's an opening on the WBA, the Woburn Business Association, for a banker. We have an opening, and I work for Reading Cooperative Bank. And the president, who was the outgoing president at the time, is the gentleman that I replaced as business development officer and vice president over at Reading Coop. So John left, and in comes Jack, and I sat on the board, and I said, this is a very unique organization, unlike other chambers, because Woburn Business Association, it's really, it's a fabric, right, of a chamber. I said, I like the fact that it's not, can I get a meeting, can I get a meeting? It's promoting local businesses. It's buy local, buy Woburn. The mayor gets involved, city council gets involved, the networking events. I don't feel stressed. I met some really good quality people. And then former president, Tommy Sterling, said, I'm going in as president. He said, I'm really looking for some help. I said, so you want the old guy with the Robert's Rules experience to come in as vice president? And then one day I get this epiphany and said, you'll be buying a table because you'll be becoming president. I said, of what? And they said, the WBA. I said, ooh, I signed up for that.
I forgot how that works.
And that's a 2-year term. So I'll never forget the night of the dinner, the annual dinner. So I had the president of the bank, Julia, the chief lending officer, the head of residential lending. My wife was there. All the important people from the bank, except for me, of course. And I said, I just would like to introduce my family. I said, there's my wife. We have a commuter marriage. And they look at me, and I said, she stays at home, and I go to events all the time with the WBA. And that's how it evolved. I'm a firm believer, we do business in Woburn. I am a Burlington resident, but I've always had my roots in Woburn, and it's a good business community, it's a good local community. And I can't say enough good things because it's very unique in itself. It's not a self-consuming, self-absorbing organization. I really like the fact that we promote each other, and we buy local and we buy Woburn. And I made it very clear to Tommy Sterling, there's no way I'm going to become an officer on your board unless you stick to that motto of buy local, buy Woburn. And they have, and I'm proud of that. So I'm very selfish. I invited my good friend, Joe Warreno, who I appointed to the board of directors at the Scholarship Foundation. I've known him for years socially and professionally, and he's been an asset to the board. I mean, he came in as our treasurer, and the numbers speak for themselves. He's a professional, he's a good guy, and I think, Joe, you should tell your story because you spend a lot of time with the Everett Chamber and you know how unique this WBA is.
Absolutely. I joined the board 2 years ago as treasurer. I'm currently with a company called Now Business Intelligence, or NBI. We're focused on technology and software, so it's a unique aspect joining the WBA board because Woburn's entrenched with lots of technology. I was an outsider looking in. However, I will say the one attribute that I appreciate the most about the WBA is what we give back to the community. There was no prouder moment than when the Tanner Tatas, who we donated several thousands of dollars to, when the woman said, look, that magnet that we call Woburn, and they all say it's regarding the piece of the ship that's sitting in Woburn Common, that's what brings everybody back to Woburn. We've done quite a bit: social concern, social capital, New Path. I know I'm missing a few, and that's just in my short couple of years here.
Well, we have the Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah, the Boys and Girls Club, the YMCA.
Wow, yeah, that's quite a few.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the business association, we're all here to promote business within Woburn. However, we get a lot of support from the mayor, from the state rep, the state senator, from city council, from the chief of police. They're all at our events, at least they're at our annual meetings, and they're telling us what we can do to help the city. And that's been a big push. So, we know there's traffic issues. We know there's permitting and zoning things going on. So we're here to help businesses develop in Woburn so that we can promote greater opportunities for the residents as well as the commuters into Woburn. And that's the unique thing about the WBA versus a chamber where it's more of a social atmosphere.
What makes Woburn unique too, though, Tyler, is so 2/3 of the country is made up of small business. And when people say to me, well, you were part of that development team over there in Burlington at one time with the Burlington Chamber, with that whole district area, and then we have all the restaurants over on 3rd Ave and all of that. I said, well, no, that was really a collaboration of the local business community and the selectmen and planning department and a law firm, actually. I said, but over here in Woburn, it's uniquely different. Yeah, you have your Raytheon, you have your big landlords and all of that, but think about walking downtown Main Street in Woburn. That's what American business is all about. So that's what we do at the WPA. We help with the permitting, and Scott Galvin, God love him, the mayor and the planning department, they have an open door policy. We come in, we advocate for them if we can help them out. Cummings, the biggest property owner and biggest landlord in the city, has been embracing the WBA since its inception. Bill Cummings and his whole crew, Dennis Clark, and now Eric, the new director. I mean, they really welcome Woburn business, Woburn business employees. One thing we haven't talked about, briefly we'll touch on, there's a major transportation issue that happened in Burlington that's been fixed by the Middlesex 3 Coalition. Heather McGuire, our executive director, and I brought in the 128 Business Coalition to talk to us about transportation in Woburn, which basically means moving people from public transportation to the hotels, the
To their
restaurants,
jobs.
where people need it, because the MBTA only works on certain hours. Not everyone can afford taking the commuter rail. So how do we get them? Well, we model what they do with the Middlesex 3 Coalition. You pick people up in Lawrence, you pick people up in Lowell, you pick them up down in Waltham. They take the red line, the blue line, the green line, they meet in a certain area, they bus them into the Woburn area, then you move them around on shuttle buses, and now you're fully staffed. That sounds easy, but that's something we've been working on for 2 years.
And a lot of people might just say, hey, they're networkers, right? They have an early morning networking over coffee, sometimes networking in the evening over appetizers, but there's a lot that goes behind the scenes. Traffic, slip ramp issues, possible changes to the city. Parking was a big one on the docket a couple years ago. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes.
One of the big focuses I think we've been focused on, obviously, is improving the quality of transportation or the quality of business life within Woburn, right? I mean, for residents, it's wonderful. They've got Horn Pond, they've got lots of recreational activities, beautiful schools, so they've done that piece.
Mm-hmm.
Now we've got to turn our attention to the businesses, right? So we can get them to become more advocates as well. Businesses have to become part of the community, or it's not, or it's a one-way street. And we don't need that.
Well, the fabric of the community is the business, right? And if you don't have the business, then your residential tax rates go up. I mean, Burlington, luckily, we have the 3rd lowest tax rate in the Commonwealth because of what we have for business. Now, Woburn is a city. They're on a different water system, so the monthly household capital outlay is a little bit lower than someone like us residents from Burlington. But again, I go back and you picture Main Street, and you picture all the small shops. You picture Route 38. All these connectors that bring us to 12893, they're all family-owned business. 2nd, 3rd, 4th generation businesses. That's what we do, the WBA, is we promote local. Buy local, buy Woburn. I say it all the time. We have a connection to City Hall. We have professional development programs for people. We have, if someone's new to Woburn, we're like a welcome wagon. We get there for the ribbon cutting, we embrace them and say, look, what can we do to help you? That's the good thing about this, and this goes back to, rest his soul, Paul Meany. I mean, he had a vision for this program. Bill Cummings supported him. I see us growing in the future with you as the new president. We've had our challenges, but every organization does.
Right.
To be expected in some capacity.
Right.
Right. Well, I mean, unfortunately, we've got another big challenge in front of us, right? With our executive director, Heather, transitioning into a new career life. We've obviously got to fill that role.
Let's spend some time there. I know that's one of the main reasons that we got together today. So I know the cat's out of the bag. Executive director is looking to transition.
Correct.
What does
Heather
that look like?
McGuire has done a wonderful job.
Fantastic.
She's a
Great
professional,
woman.
she's a nice person. She wants to transition out, which is fine. She's doing it on her terms, and we're looking for an executive director, not to replace her, but to move into the position as executive director, promote local business, encourage people to join the organization, and be there as a resource for those businesses that are current members and those that want to join, and answer questions to those that are looking to move to Woburn. Look at all the development we have going on.
Already projects in the works. We're going to keep the city busy for the next 10 years. That's
Absolutely.
amazing. And there's more to come.
Right. So, I mean, part of what we're looking for, and I mean, I shouldn't say looking for, the expectation of this role is someone who's going to be embraced into the community. This person is going to have to entrench themselves, meet with businesses, new and old, and get them to become members or to at least understand what we're all about, and help us with our charity work, because we do quite a bit of it. We do a fair amount with the community. When the library was being built, we helped out in that situation. So we want to be part of the Woburn community, and we want all the businesses to as well.
Tyler, this could be somebody that's already served in public office, somebody who's retired, somebody who's self-employed. This does not have to be a full-time agenda. This can be a flex schedule. The important thing is not every business runs from 8 to 5, 9 to 5. Is it a 24/7 job? No, it's a flexible icon of the WBA. Help us at City Hall in case we need some help. Be the networking agent for us. Don't worry about the paperwork in the office. We have the support staff for that. I just need someone who can represent the brand, which is the WBA, and can welcome new business and assist the current businesses that we have in any needs that they may have. Because we've talked about this in the past, and thanks to Sterling Technologies and Team Logic, Andy Hackett and Tommy Sterling respectively, we're trying to enhance our website so that you can click onto that website, get a discount as a member of the WBA, and do B2B, buy from your fellow brothers and sisters in the WBA. If I need something, I know where the resources are. Tell a story about who you are. Do recruiting on our website, because it's so difficult today to hire people. We have the lowest unemployment rate we've ever had in the history of the United States. And look at this area. I mean, we are hurting and hurting.
Right. I mean, part of the responsibility as well is to make sure that our scholarships are awarded. I mean, unfortunately, we give away a scholarship or two every year, and we get 6 applicants. The only requirement is the student who's receiving that scholarship has a family member who's a member of the WBA, their organization, or works for an organization that's a member of the WBA. It's a shame we get 6. We should have quite a few.
There were 6 good ones this year too.
Oh,
We need
absolutely.
to have 50 good ones is I think the message. So
Yeah, but I mean, if we had 50 applicants, we'd work harder to fund that scholarship more, so we'd give away more than 2.
True.
When you have 6, a third of them got it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. A third of applicants never gets that. The other things we're doing, though, is, so this executive director needs to understand that they have a network of people under them. The board of directors is very active in the WBA. And, you know, all of our programs, the Lunch and Learns, the Women of Woburns, the networking events that we run, all have committees for them. The annual event, which is coming up in November, fantastic event, everybody should attend that. But our golf tournament, you know, so we only do a couple of fundraisers every year, so we need to make sure that the executive director understands their role in that is to sort of be the quarterback. They don't have to do the work, they got to make sure the work's being done.
Team leader.
And yeah, the team lead.
Yeah.
So it's a project manager essentially.
Let's
But
throw
again,
it
it's on
back
a
at
flex
you.
schedule.
Let's throw it back at you. You haven't been here that long, and you're going right into presidency. You're obviously a shining star.
well, I don't know if it's volunteer or voluntold, but
Voluntold, I'd like to think.
I still like it. I've much like you. I've been at other chambers and have since paired back to the WBA or the Woburn Business Association. had a different feel, different vibe. One of the first things I heard you say and remembered was buy local, buy Woburn. It was one of the first meetings I was at, maybe the first meeting I was at, and that stuck. I like that. Because I come from a small town in Maine where you buy local and you buy Peru.
Yeah.
And so it just had a different vibe. You, I believe, handed me off to the next person and introduced me, not handed me off, introduced me. And that cycle continued. And I feel like it was my job to continue that when there was somebody new that came into the Woburn Business Association. I would find them and I would introduce them to somebody that may be able to help propel their business forward.
But did you also find in the atmosphere that it was not, hi, my name is Jack, can I get a meeting? It was,
No.
my name is Jack, Joe, nice to meet you, pleasure. You know, maybe if you want to get together for coffee next week and if we can help each other some synergies. I can't tell you how many people have been in my office that I've picked up the phone and put them on speakerphone. I did that with one of my students from the university. I made him 4 appointments in that afternoon to meet WBA members to interview as a candidate for a job, because I was that comfortable in knowing that that's what we do as network and we help each other. People helping people, that's what we do.
People helping people. There's no better way of saying it. I think I rambled on in my explanation of it, but it's people helping people.
It's businesses helping businesses.
Yeah, and that's
Right.
what runs businesses is people, right?
Yeah.
And I think some of the chambers, may forget some of that.
Right, and we're not a coffee chamber.
No.
We're not a chamber that gets together to socialize. We do that, however, we're always focused on what can we improve, how do we make this better, what's the next thing that's going to happen.
And we're not doing fundraisers all the time.
No.
And when we do fundraisers, we have a partner in that we donate to them. For example, we do the golf tournament and then we have a scholarship or 2 in memory of Paul Meany, rest his soul. And then we did
The mac and cheese
the
bowl.
mac and cheese bowl. The monies went to the lunch program this summer for the YMCA. I mean, that's what we do. We partner with local Woburn charities, social concern, right?
Social Capital Inc.
Yeah,
New Path,
New Paths. I mean, that's
the
what we do.
Tatas, the Tanner Tatas.
So we promote Woburn, business and charity, and the people that sit here and live here, and the people that live here during the day and go home at night. We embrace them. That's what we do.
So if somebody's seeing this as like, one, they want to join the WA, feel free to give us a call. But if somebody says, hey, I think I know somebody, or would like to take a stab at what it would take to become the executive director, how do they get a hold of you guys? How do they get a hold of
Well, the website is woburnbusiness.org. We'll have something up there. About the holidays, Thursday, but to me, there's no such thing as holidays. We just work 24/7. We'll have something up hopefully by Friday.
Okay.
Right.
By the time this probably is, being seen to the public.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, and it's very informal. There's a small committee that will informally, do a quick interview with people. You can talk about all these online resumes and all that stuff, but this type of position involves engagement, face-to-face, social skills, right? People skills. If you can't talk face-to-face, you can't write a memo and pick up a phone.
Probably not going to be the executive
No,
director.
because we don't do the texting and the social media stuff. We do that only to support what we do face-to-face.
Right. I think we'll obviously have an ad posted shortly here on Indeed and I believe LinkedIn. So that's another way to get in touch with us. That will force an email. That response will force an email so that one of us will receive it and we can start the review process. The best way to understand us is to go back onto that website, though, woburnbusiness.org.
Everything you
It
need.
explains a lot. It tells you the member benefits. It tells you quite a few things that you need from us. It's very welcoming. Thankfully, one of our members, Sterling Technologies, updated it for us at a WBA discount. Thank you, Tom.
Very good. WBA discount. Thank you, Tom.
That was a good plug. You get 2 more free hours now.
Yeah, so I mean, it was, it's been great to kind of work the magic through the WBA.
Okay.
Like I said, I was new to Woburn a couple years ago. I feel like I'm a fabric of the community. I've been woven in, and I'm very comfortable in the city now, and it's fantastic. I love the businesses, and hopefully we get more coming.
What's next for the WBA? Executive director, yes. But
Yes.
where do we continue to take this? Do we just continue to grow and
So-
evolve? Or change?
Well, we've definitely got to grow, but one of the things that seems to be a larger focus right now is getting a lot more involved with City Hall, our government affairs committee, because we have a lot of issues with transportation, with traffic, because we want to help with the roadways. We want to help with if we can divert some of the traffic out of the city and onto the highways, so that city streets, I mean, Waze and Google, God bless them, but they hurt.
I sit in on the government affairs committee meetings, or I actually put myself on the committee, we'll leave it at that. And we've had some good quality meetings. Our next meeting is folks from the Middlesex 3 Coalition coming in. Our new state representative, Rich Haggerty, has been in. And the mayor, of course, has an open door policy with us. We have a couple of other special guests coming in. It's not to say that in recent years that we were lacking on the government side. It's to say that there was not the need at the time for the WBA, or the appropriate time for the WBA to step in. We're not just going to advocate for the sake of advocating, right? It has, the whole body has to embrace this. One of the projects that we're talking about and we're embracing, obviously, is this ramp to Route 93, which is on the Stoneham Reading line, which is behind BJ's and the auto dealership. Then there's the bridge, then there's Commerce Way. I mean, there's different projects that we will be involved in, advocating for the businesses in that area and the future businesses to come here. Our biggest concern, as Joe attested to, and everyone's aware of it, is the traffic projects that are coming up and the traffic projects needed.
Right. Absolutely.
We know the right people at City Hall. We know the right people at the state level. We know the right people at the Fed level. But where do we fit on that list? If we work collectively, collaborate, leave your ego outside, I think we're in a good place.
Yeah. And thankfully, the business community, the larger business communities that are larger members, are very involved in these projects, and they're working with us. They've asked us to get more involved, so we're definitely getting more involved. Even some of the things like zoning, they need some advocacy on their behalf, and a collaboration of lots of businesses within the city has a little more clout than one business in the city.
Well, the good thing too is recently we posted some updates with respect to the construction projects, transportation projects, and the zoning meetings, and I believe it was the latest planning board hearing on a hot item, and we put it on our website. So now we're using our website more as an information piece too, for local business here and local business who could be coming here. So we're utilizing our website more. We're getting more involved with government because there's a need now.
There's a need. There's definitely a need.
Tremendous amount. I mean, some of the other areas we're focused in is we created a new mentoring committee. I guess it's more that we're calling it the emerging leaders. We're partnering up with the high school, helping business, helping students. They're being mentored by business leaders in the area, so that the graduates or the students, when they graduate, have better leadership capabilities, or so they understand what business is looking for. The education's great, but if you don't know how to use it, it becomes different. So that's an area we're focused in. Obviously, we're the Women of Woburn has been a super successful group, and
rockstar group.
Thankfully, the women have embraced it, and they have taken off. And they're all making friends, and they're learning from one another, and they're networking, so it's fantastic.
And the Lunch and Learn program that you've been involved with too, that's pretty good because you pick your fights. If there's something I have an interest with, either bring a lunch or get a lunch sponsored. And they're informative, and you're not taking away from your day to day, and it's not one of those, again, kind of a business card. No, it's let's go in, have lunch, and learn.
And it allows for the opportunity for those business cards to be traded organically.
Yeah,
exactly.
I find that the people that you have lunch next to over the course of an hour, usually some good comes from it, other than just the presentation.
And you have a common interest, right? You're there for that reason, whether it's for coaching, whether it's for selling, whether it's for better financial analysis, whatever that may be. You're there, so is the person next to you. You're eating lunch, and you strike that conversation up.
You had your lunch and learn, and you picked a group of us to respond and critique your event because you respect our opinion as business professionals, and we gave it back to you and said thank you very much. And so the next time you might do things either differently or not differently, but we work collectively, right? And when we talk about the emerging leaders, I've mentioned this before in one of the lunch and learns that I participated in when I did some research on reverse mentoring. you can't put a price tag on that.
No.
I mean, you have intellectual sweat equity right here, and you're taking someone at the high school level, and you're sharing the experiences, and that high school student is working with that business person saying, well, here's my social media devices, this is what I do. You both learn and engage from each other. You can't get that out of a textbook.
The research that you did on that to share too with our membership is so valuable.
Institutional knowledge, it's just heaven.
And that's what we tap into
Right.
at those lunch and learns. I appreciate you sharing that.
You're welcome.
So just to bring it up again, we are in need of an executive director.
Yes.
Unfortunately, Heather, who's done a phenomenal job, is stepping down. Anyone interested, any and all are welcome.
Head to the website.
Start at the website
Yeah.
and we'll go from there.
WoburnBusiness.org, and if you're interested, let's talk.
Awesome.
Ty, thanks for having us.
Thank you
Thank
for,
you for having us, Tyler.
I
This was
appreciate you. I
fantastic.
appreciate you joining me. I want only good things for the WBA ahead, so I was glad that you guys were willing to set some time out of your busy schedules to come say hi.
Pleasure.
Thank you all for watching the Woburn Spotlight. Joe Warreno with Now Business Intelligence, our treasurer at the Woburn Business Association, and Jack Farron, Reading Co-op, our current president. So thank you again. We'll see you next time.